Welcome, everyone. Officially, nice to have you back here. Nice to see you again, Sue, and the regulars. So let's have a look at today's quote first, and then we'll go into the lesson. Have a quick read of the lesson and do a meditation on it, and then I've got some text reading to do. So give me a moment to share my screen. Okay. Okay. All right. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
You would like to read the quote?
I will. Man's desire is to know the mind of God.
Yeah, that's actually humanity's desire, but it was a direct quote. So it's men and women to know the mind of God. Quite a simple statement, but very true. Really expresses the true desire of every person. Because at the core of our being, we still know who we truly are. So we'll never be satisfied with anything less than this knowledge. Anything else is just a substitute for this deeper knowledge, which leads us beautifully into today's mind training lesson. First, just want to talk about this recording that we did. This was a year ago, actually. I think Sue and John wrote it. So it might be interesting, Sue and John, for you to go back and listen to it. Be vigilant only for God and his kingdom. It was about that section, section 5c of chapter 6. Key message of the lesson, the text reading taken together, is that we learn to see everything through the eyes of love. I mean, vigilant against the ego and letting its thoughts and emotions go whenever we become aware of them. So he's telling us very clearly in that section, we must be vigilant. We must guard our thoughts. We must watch our thoughts because we're living in the domain of the ego. And so the egos will come up with various thoughts and emotions in response to sensory perceptions. And we have to be continuously vigilant of that. We're in the domain of the ego. So he says a need for clear-cut vigilance. Be vigilant only for God and his kingdom, only for the state of pure formless awareness. Really what that is saying, being translated. And so we automatically accept these gifts, all the blessings of being in a state of pure formless awareness in our translated terminology. There's also a meditation there. So yeah, if today's live session isn't enough for you, then just go and watch that later today. And it'd be interesting, Sue and John, if you watch it, to just see what you think. Have you progressed in your understanding based on compared with a year ago? I'd be fascinated if you did. Get your feedback on that. So that leads us nicely into today's mind training lesson from workbook, based on workbook lesson 45. So we'll read the first few paragraphs and then do a meditation on it. So who would like to one and the slide? Sue, why don't you do it for us?
God is the mind with which I think. Alternatively, pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think.
Okay, and then first paragraph.
Today's idea holds the key to what your real thoughts are. They are nothing that you think, just as nothing that you think you see is related to vision in any way. There is no relationship between what is real and what you think is real. Nothing that you think are your real thoughts resemble your real thoughts in any respect. Nothing that you think you see bears any resemblance to what vision will show you.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, that's very clear, isn't it? Nothing that we think is real, nothing that we see is real.
Yeah, so if you read that first up, you didn't know the whole message of the course. It's kind of just that paragraph is mind-blowing. There's no relationship between what is real and what you think is real. So really saying we're just totally confused about reality, and therefore should question it all, not believe what our senses are telling us.
And the way to get to what our real thoughts are is to really, really sink into the idea that God is the mind that we think with.
Yeah, it's this awareness. Pure God is the mind with which I think. I think a lot of people struggle with that because still this idea that God is somehow outside of you.
Yeah.
Whereas the translated version, pure fullness, awareness of perfect love, it's clearly pointing you within. It's an awareness of we call perfect love or oneness. And that's the awareness in which I think. Right? So that's your base awareness in which all thought arises. Yeshu is really saying it's impossible, actually, to have another awareness. The ego is just this impossible awareness, impossible idea that's hived off, separated off from your true awareness, pure fullness awareness, perfect love. So all of these ideas are designed to correct our mind, to accept the simple truth that only this fundamental awareness is true, and we can only think in alignment with it, even in this world, which is all about subject-object duality and those kinds of thoughts. Our thoughts can still come from this deeper awareness. And so, that's the Holy Spirit able to interpret from the deeper awareness of oneness, interpret everything we experience here. And that's what this course is about. It's about training us to do that, to interpret everything correctly.
How would you define awareness, Jono?
It's a tricky one because it's so fundamental.
Yeah.
It is that which cannot be deconstructed. You cannot go beyond that awareness. We say God is, and then we cease to speak. It's the isness, the absolute being or isness of everything, which is beyond really description. You can't really describe that because it's primary, it's fundamental. So we use words like primary, fundamental, foundational, but it's that which cannot be undone, that which does not change, that which is fundamental reality. That's what awareness is.
Because I'm just trying to connect the word mind with awareness.
Yeah. The mind, capital mind, is really synonymous with awareness. That's why we use it as the translated version.
I can connect mind as with a capital with awareness.
Mhm.
But I think there's confusion around, like there's the use of mind when we're using the ego mind.
Yeah, so that would be the small mind.
Mm.
Small mind, capital mind. So the mind of God is this higher awareness, just pure formless awareness, with no subject object, dualistic thought really involved. It's just pure awareness.
Where I get confused is we say, I'm aware of my thoughts, or I'm aware of my emotions.
Mm.
And then, I mean, true awareness is no awareness. It just is. So that's where I get confused.
Well, so the art of this letting go is to access your true awareness, pure formless awareness, and have that as your reference point for everything. So that awareness is what's aware. When you say I am aware of my thoughts, well, who's aware? What's the I am that's aware of the temporary thoughts and emotions going through your mind? See, that I am presence is the awareness we're talking about.
Yeah, sort of, isn't it? But when you go past that and you're in awareness, there's nothing to be aware of, is there? So
Yeah.
is it really,
So this is
pure formless awareness that is aware
derived.
of emotion?
See, this is where the Holy Spirit comes in, which is why we have the idea of the Holy Spirit. Show you very Holy Trinity. Because when we're talking about, pure formless awareness, absolute awareness, is the top level. That's cannot be gone. You can't go beyond that. You can't deconstruct it, break it down, go further. It simply is. So that's God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, if you prefer, or source or knowledge or truth, oneness. All of these terms point us to that ultimate, the absolute infinite nature of this reality. But then in order to make it useful to us, we kind of have to step it down into a form that is useful in this world. And those forms are, the idea of the Christ, which is your true self, that is derived from this. It's one self. So one self connects you with this awareness, connects you with pure formless awareness of perfect love. If you fully identify with yourself and everyone else as one self, then naturally that leads you into this state. So it's derived from this ultimate awareness, although it's a step down. And then another step down would be to take the true self, the one self, and interpret everything that you experience in time and space from that perspective of oneness. So all the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, all the successes, failures, and all experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space should be reinterpreted from the perspective of the one self and oneness, one self being derived from perfect oneness or perfect love. And that's the only true interpretation of any of them. So it's awareness, it's deriving from awareness, but it's awareness that can perceive form. The Holy Spirit could still perceive form, but know that it's not ultimately true, and remind you of that fact that this isn't ultimately true. So if it's an unpleasant form, you can let it go, because you're not making it real anymore. So this is where the Holy Trinity and the Christ and the Holy Spirit come into their own in this world as part of the correction process for us. Does that make sense?
So does that mean then that the everyday awareness, when we're aware of a sensation or a thought, is that more like a small a awareness opposed to the pure formless, which would be a capital A? Because I just feel that the pure formless awareness wouldn't have any thought or sensations or be aware of it. So
Yeah.
it's our true self that is aware. That
True awareness. Yeah. But it's derived from, the Holy Spirit is aware of the illusions. It can through interpret sensory experiences, but it's also aware of this higher truth. So it becomes the bridge between these worlds. But remember, it's still capitalized in the court, in the course, throughout the course, because the memory of that state of absolute pure formless awareness, where there's nothing else, it's the memory of that will ultimately return us to that. But in the meantime, the Holy Spirit, or this so-called higher awareness, if we wanted to use that term, we also use that term, is the link with God. It's what takes you back from the dream back into oneness. Does that make sense? Holy Spirit is an operating system. What awareness is, how it all fits together.
So awareness with a capital A, first level awareness, isn't
well, let's
aware,
call it pure formless awareness of perfect love.
pure formless awareness, isn't aware of what's going on a worldly level, and is only connected with our ultimate beings.
Yeah, well, but the beauty of the Christ and the Holy Spirit is that they derive from that awareness. So they draw their strength and their power from this awareness, but they can still perceive in this world, which give them the interpretive function they have. So referencing to the state of pure formless awareness, which is just purely peaceful, bringing that awareness back into your mind, reminding yourself, this is the only true awareness, everything else is false, is enormously helpful if you can do that.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? I mean, it's not, remember, logic at some point sort of fails, because talking about is this is beyond logic. This is beyond words and logic and understanding. But if you can sort of get that this could inspire a true self, or this could inspire that true self's perceptions in this world, then you understand what the Holy Trinity is and what it's there for. So it's a learning device for the mind.
So the word vision, is how we, for want of a better word, see the world when we are connected with pure formless awareness.
Yeah, vision, Christ's vision, is when we're coming from our true self, which knows that it's one with everyone and everything else. There's only one self and one life. See, because there's one life essence, then there must be one self. The two are completely related ideas. The idea that we separate selves then denies that there's one life. It seems to indicate that there's many lives. Everyone's got their own life. So one true self, or Christ, is clearly derived from oneness.
Okay, that's
only oneness in the ultimate level. Sally, does that help?
Yeah, it's kind of causing some sort of malfunction in my mind, but overall I get it. Yes.
It's something you've got to, the reason why we have to practice forgiveness is to practice this thought system. We don't get it straight away because we're talking about high level concepts. Our mind is very blocked. It usually fixated on the level of physical form. These ideas are very new. And so it takes practice, and you practice with your life experiences. Whatever comes up, you can run it through the, this operating system. And if you do it correctly, you will find that it's helpful, that you find more peace. Maybe a decision comes that before you felt, stuck and blocked. Now a decision comes and you can flow forward with it.
I think that is a test, isn't it? That's the witness to being in connection with pure form. Well, one's true self is when one suddenly finds a different way of seeing something which one has never envisaged before.
Mm.
And it comes with a freshness and a flow and energy.
Yeah.
Quiet energy.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's the miracle. You change your perception, you change outcomes, and it's all coming ultimately from pure formless awareness. It's not fully pure formless awareness yet, because you still have perception going on. So this is what he keeps saying to us. Perception is not knowledge, but corrected perception, true perception, or Christ's vision, whatever you want to call it, or you could call it forgiveness, or miracles. This is the means to move your mind from automatically and progressively if you follow this way. Okay. Any other comments or questions on the Holy Spirit?
No, I think that's
Holy
helpful
Trinity.
if everybody else is happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a key point, because that's why it's a Course in Miracles and not a Course in Revelation. He's not primarily training us to go here. He's saying, I'm going to train you. I know where you are. You're here stuck in your ego. So I'm going to train you to perceive the world, start perceiving it correctly. And that's going to correct your mind to the point where you're so identified with this true self or Christ that the gap between that kind of higher self-identification and just pure formless awareness and perfect love is very small. And God takes the final step, means that this gap just gets closed by by God himself. God takes the final step. It's our job to bring us as close as possible to it. So we can get into our true self. We can practice perceiving from that true self correctly. Then we bring ourselves as close to this awareness as we possibly can. And then the final step is taken by God, the Father, the source. Because we are that source. So at some point, all the blocks just melt away. But you have to do your work to get there. They don't just melt away if you're heavily in ego. You haven't done mind training to let them go. So he's given us a course to do that mind training, to make the shift from this world into another world. The Holy Spirit is the bridge between those. So I mean, tell you correct, this isn't pure formless awareness. What we perceive anything dualistic. It's not pure formless awareness, but it's coming from pure formless awareness. So today's lesson says, we translate it, pure formless awareness of perfect love is the mind in which I think. My source, and it's the mind in which I think. As an expression of that, saying, okay, so acknowledge that this awareness is there in your mind. It may not be perfectly there. You've still got other thoughts going on, but the acknowledgement of it as there really helps you to correct. Okay, any other comments or questions on this teaching on the Holy Spirit, Holy Trinity?
Can you just remind me what revelation is?
Well, there it's on the screen. Revelation is in the same order. Revelation is knowledge. It's the same as pure formless awareness.
So can we
perfect love.
Can we have revelation though while in a human body?
Yeah, but you won't the body disappears from your awareness. You're not going to be body conscious when you're in a state of revelation. You'll come back, which is typically what happens, unless that's your final kind of exit point. That sometimes can happen, but you have a revelation, you come back into an awareness of the body at some point. But when you're in revelation, there's no body awareness. There's no awareness of anything other than pure formless awareness of perfect love. So it's an access into this higher state while you're still in this world. Right? We don't use revelation as a term to describe what happens beyond this world. Then it's just pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's ineffable. Revelation is a descriptive of an experience that you can have while you're here, which is just this awareness and nothing else.
Yeah, I was just trying to fit in my experience a couple of weeks ago when I had that experience of realizing it's all just one big thought. And I realized Sally didn't exist. And I'm still trying to put that into my own yeah, it's just, it changed something for me, and it's just like it shifted everything, and I'm trying to see things differently.
Oh. So it's a reorganization of your perception that's going on.
Yeah.
But I'd say don't overthink it. It's not your intellectual mind won't really make sense of it, because it's going beyond, it's trying to go take you beyond the intellect. So accept this, this is a basic kind of intellectual construct to try and help you to understand what's going on. But in the end, it's an experience in the moment. If you can find peace in your perception, and you're not really worried about the level of form anymore, and you just find this deep peace, and then you feel inspired to do something from that place, then you're in it. And you don't need to overanalyze that, because the analysis will take you out of it. You can just stay in there. Okay, is that helpful? Just experience it. Be willing to just journey with it. Say, okay, Spirit, show me.
Yeah.
Show me experientially, not intellectually. What it says. Remember, he says a universal theology is impossible. So this idea of the Holy Trinity is part of theology, really. It's still using the mind and mental constructs, which is can be helpful. That's why he gives it to us. But ultimately, it leads to a universal experience, which is this pure formless awareness of perfect love. It all ends up in there. So you want to be cultivating that experience. The more you have that experience, the closer to home you get it.
Thank you.
So it's just being aware of the levels, and then while you're here, you understand this construct, you understand the levels. For the purposes of correcting your mind, the purpose of bringing your mind as closer into alignment as you possibly can with this. That's what the course is designed to do. Bring you as close to this ultimate awareness as it possibly can, so that eventually God takes the final step, meaning that this state, just because it is your natural state, you're so closely identified with it, you just merge into it. It kind of happens when you're ready. In the meantime, we do a lot of mind training to correct our perceptions and bring us closer and closer into an awareness of the state. Okay, so any other questions? Otherwise, let's move on to number 2. So let's go, where are we? Back to here. So you think with the mind of God. Who wants to read that?
I'm happy to read that one.
Okay.
You think with the mind of God. Therefore, you share your thoughts with him as he shares his with you. You think with the pure, formless awareness of perfect love. Therefore, you share your thoughts with it as it shares its with you. They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same awareness.
Yeah, does it make sense?
Um,
We just discussed.
Well, when it, I feel as though when it says you think, it should say when you think with pure formless awareness, because we can be thinking with the ego mind.
Think with the pure formless awareness of perfect love. Well, he's telling us, this is a statement of ultimate truth, saying you think with the pure formless awareness of perfect love. In truth, you can't. You have an illusion that you think, but he's addressed that in paragraph 1.
Okay.
You're thinking all of this is real, but actually none of it's real. Actually, the truth is you think with the mind of God, or the pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, that's good.
Within that, think of it as it's kind of the base state. It's the ground of being, and then everything arises from that.
Yeah.
So you can't really have a thought that doesn't arise from that, because it's everything. It's the fundamental awareness. The ego's delusion is that you can. Very simply put, you can have some other thought, some other awareness going on that's not derived from this pure formless awareness. And the Course is just always trying to correct our misperceptions and say, no, it's not the case. You think with the mind of God. So it's a positive affirmation of this non-dual nature of reality.
Yeah, good. That makes sense.
Yeah, but in the previous paragraph, he's saying, well, this is how it currently is in your dualistic state, naming it and saying, well, actually, see it for what it is. And then the second paragraph, he moves us into top level. So remember, we talked about level 1 and level 2. That could be a helpful idea as well.
Yeah.
So level 1 is this level of ultimate truth, God, Father, Source, pure formless awareness, perfect love. But that level is not that useful to us when we still seemingly human in the dream. So level 2 is this level of the world, perception, but it's transformed. If it's corrected perception, then that is corrected or transformed. And it's important to realize that he's talking at different levels.
Yeah.
So this paragraph 1 is level 2.
Yeah.
Paragraph 2 is level 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you see what he's doing all the time?
Yeah.
He's trying to move us from identifying our minds and ourselves as level 2 entities to saying, no, that's not the case. You're actually level 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the shift between those levels, from level 2 to level 1, is the miracle. That's the process of at-one-ment.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, John.
And that's what all the mind training is about.
Yeah.
Because
So, to share is to make alike or to make
we're
one.
already at level 1. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. There's no conceptual thought.
No, we wouldn't. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with pure formless awareness of perfect love leave your awareness, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore, your thoughts are in the mind of God as you are. They are your mind as well, where it is. Did I get that one right? No. Last sentence. They are in your mind as well, where he is. As you are part of his mind, so are your thoughts part of his mind. They are in your mind as well, where it is, As you are part of its awareness, so are your thoughts part of its awareness.
Yeah. Any comments on that? Questions?
No, I think now we've clarified that this is level 1. It's okay.
Our task is to bring, level 1 into level 2. That's the Holy Spirit's task. So that you can interpret and perceive everything differently in this world, which makes a profound difference. That's the miracle. Changes your thoughts, changes your behavior, changes your outcomes. Your life changes for the better. Right, so any other thoughts about number 2? Thoughts do not leave their source. So the benefit of translating it as awareness is it's trying to take us into more level 1 awareness. Beyond dualistic thought. When we think of thought, we think of subject, object, ego thoughts. I'm thinking about something or someone. What do we think about? We think about people, we think about animals, we think about objects that are seemingly outside of us. And that's what we think of as thought. That's what characterizes the ego's thought, or is subject, object, dualistic. And this is taking us beyond that, into the non-dual nature of truth. And ultimately, it must be experienced by everyone. So he's giving us the lessons so that we can have the experience. That's why he says practice. We don't just read the text. It's actually have the experience that the lessons bring about, which then reveals that the experiential knowing, which is ultimately all that knowledge is. Where you start to know that, okay, in my own experience, there is this domain. There is this domain of knowledge, God, love, oneness. Because I've experienced it. I can't doubt it because I have actually experienced it. Okay.
Yeah.
Happy to move on to number 3. Who would like to read number 3? Elaine, perhaps, or Sue? Sue going to read. Okay.
I'll do it. When then are your real thoughts? Today we will attempt to reach them. We will have a look for them in your mind, because that is where they are. They must still be there, because they cannot have left their source. What is thought by the mind of God is eternal, being part of creation. And what is thought by pure formless awareness of perfect love is eternal, being part of being.
Okay, any thoughts on that one?
Well, it's just interesting. Well, it's interesting that I've read that today, because I've I've had a realization about thoughts, or just a different perspective of thoughts today when I was sitting doing the silent meditation. Because I just became aware of observing the thoughts. So then today we will attempt to reach them. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah. So, but remember, when you just observe, the idea of meditation is you just are the witness. You're not consciously trying to think anything. You just observe, you witness. And witnessing presence is this awareness, is this pure formless awareness.
And it was also interesting to I had two different experiences of thinking. So I was thinking the train of thought, or the train of thought that started because maybe I was distracted with something, and then that brought a thought into my mind. And then there was also a different perspective where a thought just appeared in my mind and there was nothing that led me to start that thought. So it was like that felt like an inspirational thought, which from the mind of God or pure formless awareness, as opposed to my own egoic thinking. Like it felt like today when I sat in that silent meditation that I did before the session, that became more clear to me.
Yeah, excellent.
Which is a little bit what he's saying here, isn't it?
Yeah. That it's not really you thinking. See, ultimately what he's saying to us is you think you have an individual self, personal identity, you think you're thinking all these thoughts, but you have no idea what you think is thinking is a false entity. It's a false idea of separation in your mind that's now seemingly got this reality, and it is producing all these thoughts and all the actions, the emotions, and so on that go along with the illusion. But it's all false. Because the awareness that underlies that, beyond that, is true. So if you go into meditation and you just observe, you go into awareness, and you're able to, if thoughts and emotions come up, which they will, but you're able to observe those from pure awareness. Then you're accessing this awareness in the dream. And that's really what meditation is about. In short, it's about accessing the experience of this awareness, your true awareness, pure formless awareness, in a session where you'd sit, but you could do it as moving meditation. Meditation is about accessing that awareness in some way, shape, or form. And that's transformational. The mind is transformed when you do that. So if you can keep doing it, then this is the path of awakening. Keep going into this awareness. And the more you do that, the more clearly you see that awareness is all there is, that must be true, and that everything else is false. That's what this mind training is designed to show you.
Nice to identify it, then it's really there.
Yeah. And you can only really identify. You can't say there it is. It's not physical, but you can have an experience. So you have that experience, a universal experience, Yeshua calls it, and then that becomes the source of your faith. I've had an experience, so I know what the difference between a theologian who believes and someone who knows, a mystic, is that the mystic has had an actual experience of it. And then they don't doubt anymore because they've experienced it. So that's
Okay.
why we do all the mind training, all the meditation. So we give ourselves the chance to have the experience of it.
Yeah, and recognizing it. So that's the thing, isn't it? I feel the
Mm.
key is recognizing having that experience, because we probably have them all the time, but not really aware. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't
was
trained your mind, you probably won't have had them all the time. But if you're starting to do this kind of work, then you're going to get glimpses of this more and more frequently. Those are moments of they call it satori in Zen Buddhism, which are insights. So you get a little download, something shows up. Wow, that's amazing! I just saw something more, and I got an insight that's very helpful. And then each insight progresses you. You don't go back. You're moving forward along the timeline back, but actually you're returning home back into pure formless awareness. So let's look at the timeline quickly. You're moving back into this top level all the time. No matter what the situation is here, this helps you to go, whoop, I'm going to go up above this, above the battleground, into this top level. And correct my mind through doing that. Being in this awareness is the correction of anything and everything the ego has invented. The idea of separation in all its forms, every situation that occurs within the construct of separation, every person, every event, every circumstance is corrected in this awareness, which is all there really is. So it's the replacement for everything the ego's made, just as the ego was the seeming replacement for God. Okay.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts on number 3?
Mhm.
Okay, then just number 4, stating to us what we're going to be doing in the meditation. So someone want to read that, and then I'll guide you in the meditation. Anyone want to read number 4?
I can read it. Our 3 5-minute practice periods for today will take the same general form that we used in applying yesterday's idea. We will attempt to leave the unreal and seek for the real. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what God would have us do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what God would have us do is possible.
And then the translation.
Our 3 5-minute practice periods for today will take the same general form that we used in applying yesterday's idea. We will attempt to leave the unreal and seek for the real. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what pure formless awareness of perfect love guides us to do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what pure formless awareness of perfect love asks us to do is possible.
Okay, so resonates, makes sense.
Yeah.
So this awareness can come through in our minds, and it can give us inspiration, it can give us guidance, which it would have to do if it's going to make itself known to us in our separated state. You see, so this is the Holy Spirit, which is the memory, the remembrance of this awareness, coming in now and reminding us in the dream world of our true nature, and giving us helpful thoughts that are not the pure formless awareness itself, because there might still be perception there. You're perceiving something seemingly outside of yourself, but they are derived from it, because you are interpreting these things that you now perceive in the dream world from the perspective of oneness, not really making them real, just staying rooted in your true awareness and not dwelling on these illusions. And that's the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation of the dream, which is essential if we're going to find our way back to pure formless awareness and perfect love ultimately. Because that translation has to happen. So remember the methodology, saying the scope of this course is to correct your perception. That's what it's about. Forgiveness is correction of perception, to restore your mind to a state where you're almost in pure formless awareness, where really there's very little difference between pure formless awareness, the ultimate state, and your state of mind, because you've corrected it all. So perception just gives way to knowledge. Then God takes the final step. You merge back in to this pure formless awareness, and everything else is undone. Okay, so happy with number 4? And then just, number 5 might be useful to read. So someone read that. We also try to understand. Who would like to read that? Elaine, maybe?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm Sam. Yeah. We will also try to understand. Oh, do you want the 5? Just the alternative I'll read, yeah. We will also try to We will also try to understand that only what pure formless awareness of perfect love guides us to do is what we want to do. And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what it asks us to do. There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today because it is the will of perfect love.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
Just rely totally on pure formless awareness, and that's it. Be confident. Nothing else to worry about.
Well, reach into that and trust that the right thoughts will come. The right thoughts, and then the right words and actions based on those thoughts will come. And they are connected then to this awareness.
Yeah.
So they're coming from this awareness. Hence, God is the mind with which I think. This pure formless awareness of perfect love is the source of all my thoughts. And that's what we mean by surrender to God. When that's the case, it's the source of all your thoughts, and there are no more ego thoughts, no more thoughts based on the idea of separation in your mind. Then your mind is healed and corrected.
Which is what
And
we're
that's all
all
that we're trying to accomplish.
going to go. Yeah.
It's very simple. It's a very, very simple teaching. But to do it is
not
quite difficult, because you've got the idea of separation knocking around in your mind. The whole world's based on that idea of separation, and it keeps getting triggered. And you keep having that idea in many, many different forms and ways, which tempts you to then believe in that idea rather than in the pure formless awareness and perfect love that underlies it, and the oneness that underlies pure formless awareness.
Yeah.
So we must let go of the one in order to have the other. You can't have pure formless awareness and also have the idea of separation in your mind. They are mutually exclusive. Okay, so happy with number 5. Let's into the practice now. So I'll guide you into meditation, and then just try and, in the meditation, drop all the expectations and just go into that awareness. Allow that awareness just to arise in your mind, and allow the experience to come. Because in the end, it's an experience that transcends thought and it transcends the intellect. If you can have that experience or a glimpse of it, then the practice is really helpful for you. Okay, so just okay, so just making yourself comfortable. Sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Draw the energy up the spine. Clench the sphincter muscle. Lock the energy in. Draw it up into the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. It's a maximal inhale breath. Scan your mind. Notice any thoughts going on, any related emotions, particularly anything that feels negative or limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. And then just remind yourself today's idea. So God is the mind, which I think, or translated, pure formless awareness. Perfect love is the awareness in which I think. Use whichever form of those works best for you. Pure formless awareness of perfect love. Here's the awareness in which I think. Say that to yourself a couple of times. And think a few relevant thoughts of your own. Just keeping the idea in mind. So you might think that this awareness is all there is. This awareness is the ground of my being. Cannot think without this awareness. This awareness is the source of all my thoughts, and so on. Not 4 or 5 connected thoughts. And repeat today's idea again. Breathe in. As you do that, say, pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think. And tell yourself gently, my real thoughts are in my mind. I would like to find them. And exhale, blowing it out. All the unreal thoughts that cover the truth in your mind. Some breath to help you go past them. Trying to go past all the unreal thoughts that cover this truth of pure formless awareness in your mind. Reach to the eternal. Let yourself sink inwards and downwards. Repeat the idea if necessary. Your fullness awareness of perfect love is the mind in which I think. You might encounter resistance, sane thoughts, dualistic thoughts, upsetting thoughts. Doesn't really matter what they are. Know that they are not true. They're just a heavy cloud of insane thoughts. So you breathe in the light again. Sinking inward, downward into the center of your being, where this awareness abides. It's just pure formless awareness, perfect love. Sink with an attitude of confidence, sense of the importance, the value and the holiness, the purity, the innocence of what you're doing. Allow your mind to go into the state. There's really nothing else to do and nowhere else to go. And all the senseless thoughts and mad ideas which you've cluttered up your mind, says Yeshua, the thoughts that you thought with God, with pure formless awareness of perfect love in the beginning, they are there in your awareness now, completely unchanged. They will always be in your awareness, exactly as they always were. So eternal means unchanging, cannot change this awareness. Everything you've thought since then will change. Your thoughts since then, this idea of separation from this awareness, that's changeable, that shifts and changes all the time, moment by moment. But the foundation from which this awareness rests is only changes. So just keep watching your breath, breathing it out through your nose. Nice deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. Observe the breath. Subtle sensation of the breath in the nostrils, flowing in, flowing out. As you go into just awareness of the breath, it takes you into this deeper awareness of your mind, foundation of your mind, toward which the exercise for today are directed. Here's your mind joined with the pure formless awareness of perfect love. That is its source. Here are your thoughts one with it. For this kind of practice, only one thing is necessary. Approach it as you would a foundation dedicated in the state of pure formless awareness to perfect love, the source and its extension. So try and have a sense that you're not alone. You are in the state of pure formless awareness. Perfect love, the source and its extension, such as the place you're trying to reach. You'll probably be unable as yet to realize how high you're trying to go, or how deep. But even with a little understanding you've already gained, you should be able to remind yourself that this is no idle game, but an attempt to reach the state of pure formless awareness. So just surrender into this awareness. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about or understand. Thinking inward and down into the state of pure awareness, pure formless awareness. Into the silence, the stillness that is there, beyond thought, beyond words. Just allow yourself to have this experience for the next couple of minutes or so in deep silence. If any thoughts come up, shoot on the silence, dualistic type thoughts. Any thoughts at all, really. Just remind yourself that my real thoughts are in my mind. I would like to find them. My real thoughts are in my mind. I'd like to find them. So go beyond. Let go. Blow these distracting thoughts, insane thoughts away like dark clouds leaving you. Just blowing them away with the breeze of your breath. The nothingness that they really are. And just surrender into the silence. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to think about. Just be in the silence. The stillness for the next So just gently coming out, bringing your awareness back to an awareness of the body, the breath, senses, and the world. And on the count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind again. Remind yourself that pure formless awareness of perfect love is the mind in which you think, is the awareness in which you think. And then exhale, blow anything else out, just letting it all go. The breeze of your breath into the nothingness that it really is. It's going, going, gone. Notice how the air flows out, chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down. One channel of your body to rest in your lower stomach and your groin. Count of 2, notice the breath flowing in. Your nostrils. Maybe there's a subtle smell in your nose as you do that, a taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing. And just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and serene state. So you're going to stay in today. Stay in this higher awareness. The rest of the session, let that guide you through our reading of the text and through all of your experiences. This awareness is foundational, primary awareness in which all thoughts, all perceptions, everything arises. In this awareness, it's the holder, the empty space, blank slate, Buddha Rasa, in Latin, the empty slate, a blank slate, in which everything else arises. So this is why this awareness, the empty slate, is the awareness in which you think. It's impossible to think outside of this awareness. The ego, being the idea of separation, is just a delusional thought and thought system. It has no truth, has no being, and therefore does not exist. So now on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, readjust, to look around, observe the various objects in the room from this awareness. This awareness doesn't judge, doesn't name, doesn't label. This awareness doesn't change. It's the same awareness, irrespective of whatever you're perceiving. So practice that as you just look at a few objects for a second or two, then move on to another one and then another one. Notice that if you don't name them and label them, actually your awareness is the same. Or it doesn't matter whether you're looking at what we call a chair or a desk or a computer or a phone or a person or anything else. It's the same awareness. You can access that awareness, and you're accessing the truth of who you are. This is God. And that awareness is with you wherever you go. You cannot be without that awareness. You cannot think without that awareness. So it is. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. Practice in the shorter practice periods. Frequently, Yeshua recommends reminding yourself of this idea. I've sent you a 4-minute rest break recording to do that, as well as some instructions in your Telegram and email messages to do that, to help you practice shorter practice periods and do 3 longer ones. So this was one of your longer ones. Do another one tonight. If you did one this morning, you're done with frequent shorter ones, even if it's just for a few seconds. All you have to do is take a breath and remind yourself, pure formless awareness of perfect love is the mind in which I think. And allow yourself just to dwell on that for a few moments. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our power hour, slightly longer. We had a bit of an expression as well, but were very useful. Thanks everyone for that. So at the end of the meditation, so who's up for doing a bit of the text? We've got 5 paragraphs today.
Yep.
So this one is called, this text reading is from section 3 of chapter 7, called The Reality of the Kingdom, or translated The Reality of the State of Pure Formless Awareness. Reality of Pure Formless Awareness for short. So who would like to read paragraph 1? Read it in the original. There's quite a lot of translation with terms like kingdom and God. Certainly for the start, the first 3, I think, of this one. And then after that, there won't be much. So read the first 3 in the original, and then the alternative immediately afterwards, each sentence by sentence. Would you like to kick it off, Elaine?
Oh, yes. The Holy Spirit teaches one lesson. And applies it to all individuals in all situations. The alternative, the Remembrance of Perfect Love teaches one lesson and applies it to all individuals in all situations. Yep.
Okay, so it's a universal lesson,
Yeah.
is what saying. It's the same lesson, irrespective of what seems to be happening.
Right. Being conflict-free, he maximizes all efforts in all results. And the same in the alternative. Being conflict-free, yes. It maximizes all efforts in all results.
Yeah, okay.
3. By teaching the power of the kingdom of God himself, he teaches you that all power is yours. And by teaching the power of the state of pure formless awareness of perfect love itself, I need to see a bit more, unable to see the rest of that.
Yeah, okay. Let's just scroll down for you.
Yeah. It teaches you that all power is yours. Yeah, nice sentence.
Yeah, and then I think the rest will be
Okay.
the same. So just read it in this paragraph.
Okay. Its application does not matter. It is always maximal. Your vigilance does not establish it as yours, but it does enable you to use it always and in all ways.
And he's talking about vigilance again, very important.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And to use it always and in all ways.
Mm.
There's no exceptions to its use.
Yeah. Next one. When I said, I am with you always, I meant it literally. That's, yeah, understand that. I am not absent to anyone in any situation. Yeah, that's easy to understand. Because I am always with you, you are the way, the truth, and the life. You are the way.
I think we're going to capitalize this
Yeah.
because he's actually referring to capitalization is level one. If something's level one, the truth and the life. These are level one pointers. The pointers to, should we say? I mean, the level one is just an experience, but the signposts to level one are capitalized to indicate that they are the signposts.
Yeah.
You are the way, the truth, and the life. It's about way, maybe. Well, way would be that the one-ment, really, which is also capitalized. So we can keep that capitalized. The way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got it. And the next one, yeah. You did not make this power any more than I did. So you, the little self, did not make this power any more than I did. Is that what that means?
Yeah, you, as
You,
in any
self.
kind of separate self.
Separate self, yeah.
And even in our true self, we didn't make this power. You know, this ourself and our entire being is derived from this power, which pre-existed any sense of a separate self.
Yeah.
So we couldn't make our own creator. We couldn't make our source. This is the correction of the authority problem.
Right.
Authority problem is that we think we made our own source. We made up ourselves.
The separate self, yeah. Yeah.
You know, mind thinks that it can make up its own source. That's the authority problem. But he's telling us over and over, you can't do that. The power of pure formless awareness, of perfect love, God, is beyond your making. You can't make or change it or do anything to it. It just simply is. So you can accept it or you can deny it. Those are the choices. You either accept that power as yours and allow it to come into your life and into your mind and bless and heal, or you deny it. Those are the choices. If you deny it, then you remain in an illusion of a separate self, separated from that power and suffering because of it. But why would you do that when that power is there always and is freely available? You just have to accept it.
Yeah.
Okay, it was
created to be shared and therefore cannot be meaningfully perceived as belonging to anyone at the expense of another.
Yeah, so I'm going to change that to it is extended. Not was, is extended.
Right, it is extended to be shared.
It even better, it extends.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's present tense, it's always happening.
Oh, yeah. So,
It extends to be shared.
and therefore cannot be meaningfully perceived as belonging to anyone at the expense of another. I think I get that.
Yeah. So this idea that God belongs to a particular sect or religion is ridiculous.
Right.
Anyone who's it's happened many times in history says, God, we have access to God. This is our God and not your God.
Yeah.
Is delusional, cannot be meaningfully perceived. Then what you're perceiving, if you perceive that as an illusion of a God, something other than what it really is, false God.
Yeah. Right, I get it.
Okay. Number 12.
Yeah, and such a perception makes it meaningless by eliminating or overlooking its real and only meaning. So,
Okay. So what is he saying here in summary? If you want to just summarize that in a minute or two. What's the key message in this paragraph?
Well, to be vigilant to, the remembrance of perfect love in all situations, and we all belong as one. There's no separation or any different gods. We're all just one God. And, you can't overlook this. Yeah. Sorry, you're better at summarizing.
No, it's fine. The whole point is for you to summarize, so you.
Of course, yes, of course.
You learn.
Yeah.
I think that the other key point to make is you did not make this power.
Yeah.
We didn't make it. It's just extended to everyone equally. Everyone has equal access to it.
Yeah.
Only they deny themselves. It's given freely to everyone, but our egos deny us that. So in this world, everyone doesn't seem to have equal access to it. Some seem to be more connected to it than others, and others can be seemingly totally disconnected from it. Because that's their choice. We have so-called free will. We can choose to not be aware of this. So it's a delusional choice. It's a false choice, but that's the choice in duality that we seemingly can and have made. And now the only way out of that is to choose again. Choose to listen to this awareness.
Yeah.
To be the way, the truth, and the life, and allow it to come into our minds and our lives and heal us.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone happy with number 1? Any comments or questions on that one? Otherwise, let's personalize it and we'll meditate on it. So, Remembrance of Perfect Love teaches one lesson, applies to all individuals in all situations.
Do you want me to start personalizing? Yeah. The Remembrance of Perfect Love teaches one lesson and applies it to all individuals in all situations.
And let's say one lesson applies it to all individuals in all situations. Okay? In conflict free, it maximizes all my efforts and all my efforts and results.
By teaching the power of the state of pure formless awareness, perfect love itself, it teaches me.
Take away itself, perfect love.
Excuse me.
Take it out here as well. Really itself, and then it doesn't really flow nicely, so we'll take that out. Okay, it teaches me And
that
all power is
mine.
mine.
Its application does not matter. It is always maximal. My vigilance, number 6.
So because it is always maximal.
And my vigilance does not establish it as mine, but it does enable me to use it always, in all ways. When I said I am with you, me?
Mm.
When I said I am always with me, is that right? No?
When Yeshua said, I am
Yeshua
with you always, he meant it literally.
Yeah.
That person.
Yeah. I am not absent to anyone in any situation because I am always with me. No, with you. Sorry, yes, because we're talking about Yeshua.
Not absent to anyone in the situation. Because I'm always with, because he is always with me.
Oh, yeah.
So, this was his saying. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The only way to the Father is through me.
Yeah.
Now, Christians and traditional Christians interpret that as, well, Yeshua was the special Son of God. He was the only one.
Yeah.
And, we can never be the only one. But he's saying, I'm with you always. We share the same mind. So there is no separation. I wasn't anything special. I'm with you now. And so you are. I was the way, the truth, and the life. And so are you. I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Right. So I did not make this power any more than I did, than you did.
And power should be capitalized on it. It's referring to the power of God.
Yeah.
All power,
And then
power there is way. All power is mine.
any more than I did. I did not
Yeah.
make the power
Than
any
he
more than
did.
I.
I
Yeah.
did not make this power any more than he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah, it extends to be shared and therefore cannot be meaningfully perceived as belonging to anyone at the expense of another. And such a perception makes it meaningless by eliminating all overlooking its real and only meaning.
Yeah, we'll just put in me then. To me or anyone at the expense of another. It's real and only meaning. Okay, so just read it from the top.
As normal. Yep. Right. The remembrance of perfect love teaches me one lesson and applies it to all individuals in all situations. Being conflict-free, it maximizes all my efforts and results by teaching the power of the state of pure formless awareness of perfect love. It teaches me that all power is mine. Its application does not matter because it is always maximal. My vigilance does not establish it as mine, but it does enable me to use it always and in all ways. When Yeshua said, I am with you always. He meant it literally. He is not absent to anyone in any situation because he is always with me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I did not make this power any more than he did. It extends to be shared and therefore cannot be meaningfully perceived as belonging to me or anyone at the expense of another. Such a perception makes it meaningless by eliminating or overlooking its real and only meaning.
Okay, so happy with that, I think, to read that.
Yeah.
So let's just start this. So everyone just close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in and out, let it go, and just allow these words to come in and repeat after Elaine when she leaves the gaps. Say them aloud, preferably to yourself, to affirm these powerful truths. Okay, Elaine, you want to take it away?
The remembrance of perfect love teaches me one lesson, and it applies to all individuals in all situations.
So just read that again. Applies it, not it applies.
Oh, yeah. The remembrance of perfect love teaches me one lesson, and it applies it to all individuals.
It applies it, just applies it.
Oh, and applies it. Shall I do? Oh, I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a block there, haven't I?
Start again. We'll start the
Right,
recording again.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Oh,
All right. You ready? You got that? So
Yeah.
it's just one it.
Yeah.
It's one
Yeah.
it. Okay?
Yeah.
Applies it to all individuals in all situations.
Okay.
So
The remembrance of perfect love teaches me one lesson, and it applies it.
no.
Applies it.
And
It.
just applies it, not it applies it. Just and applies it.
Oh.
Yeah. Just one it after applies. Okay. Let's try again.
Yeah. Oh,
We'll get
sorry.
through this, don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. So do you want to just say it correctly? What's up the coin? Say it again.
And applies it.
Yeah, and applies it. Yeah. Because it applies it is, you could actually say it applies it, I suppose, but it's just sort of clumsy.
Yeah, it's a mental block. Yeah, right.
Oh,
I'm stuck
okay.
again.
All right. So would you like me to make it bigger? Is it helpful?
No, I'm all right. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm fine.
Zoom. Let's make it bigger for other people in case. Okay. All right. So
Start again.
audio.
Need to make it a bit smaller then. Right. The remembrance of perfect love teaches me one lesson and applies it to all individuals in all situations. Being conflict-free, it maximizes all my efforts and results. By teaching the power of the state of pure formless awareness of perfect love. It teaches me that all power is mine. Its application does not matter because it is always maximal. My vigilance does not establish it as mine, but it does enable me to use it always and in all ways. When Yeshua said, I am with you always, he meant it literally. He is not absent to anyone in any situation, because he is always with me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I did not make this power any more than he did. It extends to be shared and therefore cannot be meaningfully perceived as belonging to me or anyone at the expense of another. Such a perception makes it meaningless by eliminating or overlooking its real and only meaning.
So it is. Okay, well done. So that's number 1 done. Let's go to number 2. Who would like to read number 2? Okay, everyone's muted. Sally, John, someone?
Yeah, I'll do it. God's meaning waits in the kingdom because that is where he placed it.
Alternatively?
Perfect love's meaning waits in the state of pure formless awareness because that is where it placed it.
Okay.
It does not wait in time. It merely rests in the kingdom because it belongs there as you do. It does not wait in time. It merely rests in the state of pure formless awareness because it belongs there as you do. Was nice. How can you, who are God's meaning, perceive yourself as absent from it? Good question. How can you, who are pure formless awareness of perfect love's meaning, perceive yourself as absent from it?
Yeah, I think that meaning probably needs
Quite fixed.
let's just say perfect love's meaning to make it simpler, and meaning capital perfect love's meaning.
Okay.
Because it's level 1, isn't it? It's referring to the absolute meaning. And there he's referring to us as though we're the sun. Perfect love's meaning, the sun, which would be capitalized. So that should be capitalized too.
Okay.
In my opinion, humble opinion. Perceive yourself as absent from it, separated from, maybe, instead of absent.
Yeah.
Or absent. I get both work. What do you think?
Yeah, separated is the common word for this process, isn't it? So might as well.
Okay. And then this, yeah, then he goes into And that's exactly what he says there. Separated from your meaning. So how about we keep it as absent, because he gives separated in the next one.
Okay. You
Okay,
can.
and then the rest you can just read as in the alternative, because it's just just the ego has changed to belief in separation.
You can perceive yourself as separated. Your meaning only by experiencing yourself as unreal. This is why the belief in separation is insane. It teaches that you are not what you are. It teaches that you are not what you are. That is so contradictory, it is clearly impossible. It is therefore a lesson you cannot really learn and therefore cannot really teach. Yet you are always teaching. You must therefore be teaching something else, even though the belief in separation does not know what it is. The belief in separation then is always being undone and does suspect your motives. Your mind cannot be unified in allegiance to the belief in separation, because the mind does not belong to it. Yet what is treacherous to the belief in separation is faithful to peace. The belief in separation's enemy is therefore your friend. Blimey. A bit rewiring going on in my mind, I think.
Is there? Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
what it's designed to do. Okay, so I'll just record this. It's probably.
I can explain it.
Can you explain it? What's he saying?
Record it yet.
Summary of it.
Let me go through it a bit before you record.
I'll just do it as you go.
All right. Perfect love's meaning, is in pure formless awareness. There's no time there. It just rests there because it is there. That's what it is. You can't perceive yourself as absent from it. You perceive yourself as separated from your meaning only by experiencing yourself as unreal. Okay, so the separated self is unreal, yeah. This is why that's insane. You're not what you are. That hurt my head a bit. It teaches you are not what you are, okay? It's so contradictory, it's clearly impossible. Yeah, it is, I see that. The lesson we can't really learn, yet we're always teaching. What does it mean we're always teaching then?
Well, we're always teaching a thought system. So we're teaching either the truth or we're teaching a lie, depending on what we believe in. By our actions and our words, we teach always. So we always, that's why he says we're all teachers of God. Or teachers of the ego. If your mind is misidentified with the ego, then you're teaching the ego. You must therefore be teaching something else, even though you don't know what it is.
Wow.
So talk about confusion. The ego is teaching something else, but it doesn't really know what it is, because there's no logic really to its thought system. There's a logic within the idea of separation, but what is it really teaching? Look at what this world is trying to teach you. Is it trying to teach you anything meaningful? Is there any consistent kind of message you can go, okay, yes, that makes sense. I can live my life by that. No. It's just kind of random, chaotic, confused. And if you follow its guidance, then what can you expect but confusion? Because it's confused. Doesn't really know what it's doing. Has no idea of what the truth is, what it really is, what reality is, who you are, nothing. So he's saying this is totally clueless. Why would you choose to listen to this as a guide for your thoughts and your words and your actions? It's a singularly, as he says at some point in the course, a singularly unfortunate choice as a guide to salvation. Singularly unfortunate. And then the final bit, last couple of lines, it's talking about.
Yeah, so when it says, yet what is treacherous to the belief in separation is faithful to peace. So peace is against, yeah, okay, got that. The belief in separation's enemy is therefore your friend. Yeah, okay, got it.
So, there's the dichotomy. The apparent duality of this world is all based on the belief in separation versus the knowledge of oneness. And those two ideas and thought systems play themselves off against each other all the time. And you can't reconcile them, which is why this world is so conflicted. So the enemy of the ego is your friend. That's where you want to go. That means that the ego will be your enemy. Apparently, it's going to be trying to stop you. Just recognize that, and then that's the vigilance. Recognizing the ego is always going to be trying, but you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to fight it. You just ignore it. Just don't listen to its voice. That's what he's saying. The best approach is not to try and fight it or kill it or destroy it. It's just to ignore it. Because that way you weaken it and eventually it just disappears into the nothingness that it really is. Okay, so summary done. Happy with that. Let's personalize it, shall we?
Yeah.
Perfect love meaning waits in the state of pure formless awareness, because that is where it placed it. It does not wait in time. We can shorten that, but merely rests state of pure formless awareness because it belongs there as I do.
Yeah. How can I, who is perfect love's meaning, perceive myself as absent from it?
I who am. I who am. Perceive myself
as absent from it. I can perceive myself as separated from my meaning only by experiencing myself as unreal. This is why my belief in separation is insane. It teaches me that I am not what I believe I is. No, that doesn't make sense.
I am not what I am.
I am, okay.
I am that I am. That's the name of God in the Bible. First name that was given to Moses. I am that I am. And the ego says, no, you're not what you are. You're not I am that I am. You're something else. And then he says, that's so contradictory. It's clearly impossible.
Yeah.
How can you not be what you are?
It is therefore a lesson I cannot really learn and thereby cannot really teach. Yet I am always teaching. I must therefore be teaching something else. Even though the belief in separation, even though as how do you say that?
I must be teaching something else, even though the belief in separation does not know what it is.
Okay. Belief in separation then is always being undone and does suspect.
I'll make it my belief. My belief in separation and separate self, we say.
Always being undone.
And we say therefore instead of then, therefore.
Does suspect this motive.
And it does suspect my motives.
My mind cannot be unified in allegiance with the belief in separation because my mind does not belong to it. Yet what is treacherous to my belief in separation is faithful to peace. My belief in separation's enemy is therefore my friend.
And you want to read that from the top?
Perfect
I
love's
should be good with it.
Perfect love's meaning waits in the state of pure formless awareness, because that is where it placed it. It does not wait in time, but merely rests in the state of pure formless awareness, because it belongs there as I do. How can I, who am perfect love's meaning, perceive myself as absent from it? I can perceive myself as separated from my meaning only by experiencing myself as unreal. This is why my belief in separation is insane. It teaches me that I am not what I am. This is so contradictory. It is clearly impossible. It is therefore a lesson I cannot really learn and cannot really teach. Yet I am always teaching, so I must be teaching something else, even though my belief in separation does not know what it is. Therefore, my belief in separation and separate self are always being undone, and it does suspect my motives.
Let's make it they.
And
They do suspect my motives.
do suspect my motives. My mind cannot be unified in allegiance with the belief in separation, because my mind does not belong to it. Yet what is treacherous to my belief in separation is faithful to peace. My belief in separation's enemy is therefore my friend.
Okay.
Okay.
Happy to read it. So let's make sure we get the right one here. So that's not the right one. It's this one. Okay. So just take a nice deep breath in and out. And allow these words to come in. Sally's reading. Say the words in the gaps that she leaves. It's an affirmation of these profound truths. Allow them to permeate into a deeper part of your mind. Okay.
Perfect love's meaning waits in the state of pure formless awareness, because that is where it placed it. It does not wait in time, but merely rests in the state of pure formless awareness, because it belongs there as I do. How can I, who am perfect love's meaning, perceive myself as absent from it. I can perceive myself as separated from my meaning only by experiencing myself as unreal. This is why my belief in separation is insane. It teaches me that I am not what I am. This is so contradictory. It is clearly impossible. It is therefore a lesson I cannot really learn and cannot really teach. Yet I'm always teaching. I must be teaching something else. Even though my belief in separation does not know what it is. Therefore, my belief in separation and separate self are always being undone. And they do suspect my motives. My mind cannot be unified in allegiance to the belief in separation because my mind does not belong to it. Yet what is treacherous to my belief in separation is faithful to peace. My belief in separation's enemy is therefore my friend. So it is.
Okay, well read. So, number 3. Who would like to read that?
I'm happy to read that.
Okay.
So I said before that the ego's friend is not part of you, because the ego perceives itself at war and therefore in need of allies.
Alternatively,
I said before that the belief in separation's friend is not part of you because the belief in separation perceives itself at war and therefore in need of allies.
just
You
read it. Read it in the alternative, John, just to save a bit of time.
Okay. You who are not at war must look for companions and recognize all whom you see as companions, because only equals are at peace. Why is he saying you who are not at war must look for companions and recognize all whom you see as companions?
So only equals are at peace. Well, we're not really at war. The conflict, the war is illusory.
Yeah.
We must look for brothers or companions everywhere, as all whom you see. We chose it to perceive, all whom you perceive. Actually, see will do, because can see it with your body's eyes as companions, because only equals are at peace. So the idea of companions works nicely, because if they're your companion, you say, well, they're my equal. They're not above me or below me.
So when it says you who are not at war must look for companions, it's not saying going out. It's not saying go out and look for companions. It's saying look upon everyone as companions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
you're not saying go and look for, lots of people as companions. Must maybe we could change that to must
Look upon.
perceive.
Oh, okay.
Must perceive only companions.
Okay, that's better. Yeah. And
Must perceive.
And recognize them, or
May I recognize all whom you see.
recognize
everyone.
Recognize everyone. Yeah.
Everyone as companions. We don't really need to see, but only companions, and recognize everyone. How about we just say must recognize everyone as companions?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
It's repeated himself. Must recognize everyone as companions. Because only equals are at peace.
That's it. It. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 3, because pure forms of awareness of perfect love's equal sons have everything, they cannot compete.
Okay, so because perfect love's equal extensions
Of everything, they do not compete, or
no, cannot. You cannot really do it. It's not really possible. So then we'll keep it as they cannot. They cannot compete.
Yeah.
The idea of competition is delusional.
Yeah. Yet if they perceive any of their companions as anything other than their perfect equals, the idea of competition has entered their minds. Okay.
Yeah.
Do not underestimate your need to be vigilant against this idea, because all your conflicts come from it. Okay. It is the belief that conflicting interests are possible, and therefore you have accepted the impossible as true. We go back to the original on that one.
Yeah.
It is the belief that conflicting interests are possible, and therefore you have accepted the impossible as true. It is.
Yeah, happy with that?
No. It is the belief. It is the belief that conflicting is impossible, and therefore you accept them. It doesn't flow.
Or accepted the impossible. Remember, the idea of separation is impossible.
Yeah.
You can't really. That's why it says you cannot really compete, because competition requires separation, which isn't really possible. So it's part of the impossible idea of the ego.
Okay.
So accepting conflicting interests, accepting competition is accepting the impossible as true. But this is how our world works. Competition is the norm. Cooperation is there, but it's, competition seems to be stronger often. So that's the upside down thought system. Accepted the impossible as true. And then he relates that to the previous paragraph. Is that different from saying you perceive yourself as unreal?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you want to just summarize this?
Yeah.
Make sure we. Yeah, that one. Okay. So what's he saying in this one?
He's saying that if we align ourselves with the belief in separation, we introduce the idea of competitiveness and war to our world. And it is only by seeing everyone as our companion and as equal that we will live out our truth.
Yeah, and be at peace. I think the key thing is peace.
Yeah.
It's a very key teaching, this, because you think of the our world. It's based on the idea of competition. So much of it, isn't it?
Well,
everyone's competing against everyone else. Everyone's got different interests.
Yeah.
It's a dog eat dog world. Survival of the fittest is all based on competition. That I'm separate. That my interests are not someone else's interests. So I get something, and then someone else loses. Sacrifice is built into that. It's part of the whole thought system of separation, and it breaks trust. It breaks communication, and he's saying it's really impossible. Part of the impossible idea of separation. And is that any different from saying you perceive yourself as unreal? So if you believe in competition, you're really saying, I believe that I'm something that I'm not. I believe I'm a separate self with separate interests that are separate from someone else's, and that's how I identify myself. And then I'm forced in that thought system to compete against other people in order to get my apparently separate interests and needs met. So there's a high price for the idea of competition.
Yes.
Separates you from your source. It destroys your peace, and you're forever then trying to meet the needs of this fragile self that you've created, and doing it often at the expense of others. All of which does not bring peace, and it will bring guilt. If you deny someone else their rights, then you experience guilt, which you don't want to acknowledge. So then it gets repressed. Then you have to project that guilt out onto them usually, and then the situation is made doubly worse because you end up attacking them. So conflict. Competition leads to attack, inevitably related. As you only have to watch competitive sport, and you see that.
Yes.
Watch a team like rugby or football. Conflict's not very far away, is it?
No.
It just takes a little bit of, and then suddenly there's a conflict, and the guys start pushing each other around, sometimes punching each other or kicking each other, because competition leads directly to conflict. And it's not supposed to be allowed, but it's like, well, it's inherent in the thought system. If you are competing, then you're by definition in conflict. You're on opposing side. You have different interests. I want my side needs to do better than yours and win. And now there's a conflicting interest, and so conflict is not very far away. And if it gets really intense, that idea of competition, then it boils over into physical violence.
You could even draw a parallel to the last few years in Brexit, which is always which is
Mm.
constant story of separation and competition, and we can do it better.
Yeah.
And then interestingly now you have this kind of state visit going on, and there's a kind of sense of together, of coming back together.
Mm. Having separated, yeah. So these ideas of unity and separation play themselves out in the world all the time.
Mm.
And those are the only two ideas there are. Yeshua's saying, well, you can't have both. You must choose.
Mm.
Which makes our life very simple. Very, very simple idea then. We just have to accept the full implications of it are that really we've been delusional. We're perceiving ourselves as something that we're not. Our entire identity is false. Our entire world is false. You know, the implications are massive. And so that's why it's difficult, because we've got to get our heads around, our minds around those implications and accept them.
Yes, it's good.
And
Yeah.
that's the mind training, to understand the nature. You know, when he says competition, I mean, this is massive. Just if you let go of competition in this world, look at how the world would change. It'd be a massive change.
Yeah.
Businesses wouldn't compete with each other. Individuals wouldn't compete with each other. We'd have no competitive sport. So much of our world would just change dramatically if we dropped the idea of competition. So these ideas are world changing if they were applied.
Yeah.
Of course, the ego, you know, will continue. Very fixed thought system, but you can apply it in your own mind.
Mm.
It was interesting when I started getting more into the spirituality. I just couldn't play. I was playing competitive sports up to that point. Couldn't really do it anymore. It's like I don't really see the point in trying to beat someone. It's not in my energy, in my desire anymore to want to win at the expense of someone else. So I just kind of let it go. Okay, well, maybe I'm done with that. You know, competition is something I want to leave behind.
Hmm.
So, and there's many sports you can do that are not competitive. Activities, you know, yoga, it's not competitive. You're competing against anyone else. So I started doing more of that. So you start gravitating towards things that are more harmonious.
Mm. Mm. Interesting. Yeah.
Belief in separation's friend.
Belief in separation's friend is not part of me because the belief in separation perceives itself at war and therefore in need of allies. I am not at war. I, who am not at war, must recognize everyone as companions because only equals are at peace. Because perfect love's extensions have everything, they cannot really compete. You actually need the really in there.
I put it in.
Yeah.
No, we can take it out. What do you think?
I don't think it's needed. Yet, if I perceive any of my companions as anything other than my perfect equals, the idea of competition has entered my mind.
Oh, sorry.
Do not estimate. Do not estimate my need to be vigilant against this idea. Yeah. Good. I do not underestimate my need to be vigilant against this idea because all my conflicts come from it.
all my conflicts. It's quite a statement, really, but it's actually true.
Yeah.
All conflicts that you have in this world are an idea of competition. My interests, someone else's interests are different. That's the source of all conflict.
Yes, it's a very good paragraph, actually.
Mm.
It is the belief that conflicting interests are possible, and therefore I have accepted the impossible as true. Is this different from saying I perceive myself as unreal? Is this different from saying I perceive myself as unreal?
Yeah. So saying it's the same thing. Accepted the impossible as true, and to accept the impossible as true, I must perceive myself as unreal, as something that I'm not. See, because all perception comes from our self-concept. So an unreal self-concept leads to the false, the impossible. Okay, you want to read it from the top? Just make sure you're okay with it.
Yeah. The belief in separation as friend is not part of me because the belief in separation perceives itself at war and therefore in need of allies. I, who am not at war, must recognize everyone as companions because only equals are at peace. Because perfect love's equal extensions have everything, we cannot compete. Yet, if I perceive any of my companions as anything other than my perfect equals, the idea of competition has entered my mind. I do not underestimate my need to be vigilant against this idea, because all my conflicts come from it. It is the belief that conflicting interests are possible, and therefore I have accepted the impossible as true. Is this different from saying I perceive myself as unreal?
No, not really. So it's just be ready to record.
Yeah.
So just take a nice deep breath in, close your eyes, listen to these words, connect with your breathing in and out as John reads, and say the words in the gaps that he leaves aloud to yourself. Make sure you're muted.
The belief in separation's friend is not part of me because the belief in separation perceives itself at war and therefore in need of allies. I, who am not at war, must recognize everyone as companions because only equals are at peace. Because perfect love's equal extensions have everything, we cannot compete. Yet if I perceive any of my companions as anything other than my perfect equals, the idea of competition has entered my mind. I do not underestimate my need to be vigilant against this idea. Because all my conflicts come from it. It is the belief that conflicting interests are possible. And therefore, I have accepted the impossible as true. Is this different from saying, I perceive myself as unreal?
No, it is. Okay, well read, John. Moving swiftly on to number 4. Who would like to read number 4?
I can read it.
Okay.
To be in the kingdom is merely to focus your full attention on it.
Okay. The kingdom is what the kingdom is.
The kingdom is no.
Okay. Anyone help her?
State of perfect love.
The state of pure formless awareness, we call it.
Yeah.
State of pure formless awareness.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a state of mind.
Yeah, that's clear.
And there it is down below.
To be in the state of pure formless awareness is merely to focus your full attention on it. All right. As you believe you can attend to what is not true, you are accepting conflict as your choice.
Yeah, as long as you can attend to what is not true. Is there a better way of saying that?
As you believe.
Long as you believe. As long as you believe you can attend to what is not true, to pay attention to you can how about perceive?
Okay, yeah, that's a better word.
Or
Oh, go on then. Oh, I thought John was going to say something. As you believe, yeah.
Well, no, I did have another idea, but I don't think it's as good.
Okay.
As long as you believe you can perceive what is not true, you are accepting conflict as your choice. Okay. And is it really a choice? It seems to be, but seeming and reality are hardly the same. Seeming and reality. It seems to be seeming and reality.
Seeming is the illusion. Seems to be, but seeming and I think reality should be capital R.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm following the thread here. It seems to be that seeming and reality are hardly the same. You who are the state of pure formless awareness are not concerned with seeming. Okay.
So that's the kingdom. The original was the kingdom.
Okay.
You who are the kingdom. So you who are the state. This is our true nature and state.
You who are. What's the R bit? You who are.
That's just telling us what we are. We are that state.
Okay. I didn't know why the R was in italics, but yeah, you who are.
Oh, it's italics because it's emphasized. It's saying
Okay.
you are.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a translation, but yeah, I get it now.
No.
You who are the state of pure formless awareness are not concerned with seeming. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Reality is yours because you are reality. This is how having and being are ultimately reconciled. Okay. I don't get that bit. This is how having and being are ultimately reconciled. Not in the state of pure formless awareness, but in your mind. What does it
You
mean
have
by
reality. Reality is yours, so you have reality.
Okay.
Being the state he's talking about. Okay, so we say, I have this state, I have this awareness, but he's saying you are that. So having and being are reconciled because you are not separate from the state of mind in which you are.
Okay.
So you have the state, but you are also the state.
Okay.
And so it all collapses into one. There's no sense of a separate I having anything. It's, I am that I am, and there's nothing else. I have it and I am it.
Okay.
It's one.
Yes. Yes.
Collapses
I have it.
into the unity of oneness.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how having and being are ultimately reconciled.
Not in the state of pure formless awareness, but in your mind. Okay.
Uh-huh.
The foundation there is only reality. Is the only reality. The foundation is perfectly clear in thought because it is a reflection of perfect thought. Your right mind sees only companions because it sees only in its own light.
Okay, so let's
That's
change.
all.
By the way,
Okay.
foundation is altar.
Oh,
Altar is perfectly clear in thought. So it's the foundation of your mind.
okay. The
It
foundation is
is a
better.
reflection of perfect
Yes.
thought. Your right mind perceives only companions because it sees only in its own light.
Is that awareness?
Yeah, well done. Yeah. Light is really just pure formless awareness.
Okay. Okay.
Which is very connected to today's lesson, isn't it? God is the mind. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think, in which I perceive.
Lovely.
So it sees only in its own pure formless awareness the same awareness. It sees every companion as that awareness.
Yes.
That's the unity consciousness, unity awareness.
Mm. Yeah, I find that a really key
Okay,
aspect.
so
Yeah.
what's he saying here in summary? Let me summarize this. That was John. Okay, let's get the right one. All right, so well, there's Jackie. I'm supposed to be having a one-on-one with her, but she can join us for a paragraph. I think we nearly finished this. Hi, Jackie. He's just joining. So what is he saying there in summary?
Mm.
What's he saying in this paragraph?
Yeah, I don't know if I can remember now. Um,
I'll help you out.
yes, please do. I'm rereading it, but yes, I have to process it all.
They're saying seeming and reality are not the same.
Yeah.
So we seem to perceive something else, competition, conflict.
Yes.
But as long as we believe we can perceive what is not true, we're accepting conflict as our choice. So this is seeming, but seeming and reality are hardly the same. You're saying we shouldn't be concerned with seeming. Reality is ours.
Yeah, reality is true. Yes.
Yeah, if you want to take over.
No. So if we have something, we are it, being, we are it, we are having it is the same as being it. So I get that. Okay, I'll let you carry on.
Okay.
Because I feel it all as you say it, but
Yeah.
to say
The
it back, I
reality is
find really
ours
difficult.
because we are reality. So having and being are the same.
Mm.
Because we have the state of pure formless awareness, and we are the state of pure formless awareness. Hence, God is pure formless awareness of perfect love. Being in that state is the very essence of our being. So having and being are reconciled. They collapse into one singular awareness. Not in the state of pure formless awareness, but in your mind. Maybe in your awareness, we'll make that. But in your awareness. So the foundation there then is only reality. So there's only that state. That's all that's really true about our minds. Perfectly clear in thought because it is a reflection of perfect thought. Maybe we should change thought to awareness there. Right? So any thoughts that come in, they're clear, then they're coming from this perfect awareness. Thought comes from this awareness when it's correct thought, when it's right-minded. So your right mind perceives only companions because it sees only in its own pure formless awareness.
Excuse me.
Maybe we'll take this, I'll tell you what, we'll make it perfect awareness. Sees only in its own perfect awareness. So the light is just this awareness. Okay? Happy with that? So done a little summary. And let's personalize this.
Oh, to be in the
Okay.
state of, yeah, this one, to be in the state of pure formless awareness is merely to focus your full attention on it. As long as I believe, I can perceive what is not true. I am accepting conflict as my choice. Really a choice. Seems to be seeming and reality are hardly the same. I, who am pure formless awareness, am not concerned with seeming. Reality is mine, because I am reality. This is how having and being are ultimately reconciled, not in the state of pure formless awareness, but in my awareness. The foundation is
My foundation.
my foundation.
There is the only reality.
The foundation perfectly clear in thought. So this is a reflection of perfect awareness. My right mind leaves only companion, because it sees only, leaves only in. It's its own perfect awareness.
Yeah. Okay. You want to read it from the top? Just make sure we're okay. We've got the translation and the personalization, right?
Okay, to be in the state of pure formless awareness is merely to focus my full attention on it. As long as I believe I can perceive what is not true, I am accepting conflict as my choice. Is it really a choice? It seems to be, but seeming and reality are hardly the same. I, who am the state of pure formless awareness, am not concerned with seeming. Reality is mine because I am reality. This is how having and being are ultimately reconciled. Not in the state of pure formless awareness, but in my awareness. My foundation there is the only reality. My foundation is perfectly clear in thought because it is a reflection of my perfect awareness. My right mind perceives only companions because it perceives only in its own perfect awareness.
Okay, so you're happy to read that in slow form. So just close your eyes, listen to Sue's words, breathing in and out through your nose. Move the breath to help you to just absorb these words on a deeper level and repeat them in the gaps she leaves to yourself, aloud ideally, so they become an affirmation of truth. Okay, so take it away, Sue.
To be in the state of pure formless awareness is merely to focus my full attention on it. As long as I believe I can perceive what is not true, I am accepting conflict as my choice. Is it really a choice? It seems to be. But seeming and reality are hardly the same. I, who am the state of pure formless awareness, am not concerned with seeming. Reality is mine because I am reality. This is how having and being are ultimately reconciled. Not in the state of pure formless awareness, but in my awareness. My foundation there is the only reality. My foundation is perfectly clear in thought because it is a reflection of my perfect awareness. My right mind perceives only companions because it perceives only in its own perfect awareness.
Okay. All read. So last paragraph. Who wants to read this one?
I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
God has lit your mind himself and keeps your mind lit by his light because his light is what your mind is. Pure formless awareness of perfect love has lit your mind itself and keeps your mind lit by his light, by his light because his light is what your mind is.
Let your mind lit your mind itself, has what has given your mind its awareness.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Keeps your mind fully aware.
By its
Because its awareness is what your mind is. So he's telling us very clearly the mind is just this awareness.
yeah.
Quite an important paragraph there, showing you awareness and the mind are not separate.
Yeah. This is totally beyond question. And when you question it, you are answered it. And when you question it, you are answered. This is totally beyond question, and when you question it, you are answered.
Yeah.
The answer merely undoes the questioning by establishing the fact that to question reality is to question meaninglessly.
In reality, be question reality, capital R, I think.
That is why the remembrance of perfect love never questions. Its sole function is to undo the questionable and thus lead to certainty. The certain are perfectly calm because they are not in doubt. They do not raise questions because nothing questionable enters their minds. This holds them in perfect serenity because this is what they share, knowing what they are.
Okay. So what is he saying in this one? In summary.
It's saying that pure formless awareness of perfect love gives us perfect awareness, which is beyond question, and which is beyond question in the sense that once we understand we have it, there is no need to question.
Questions imply doubt, don't they? Questions imply lack of certainty. So those who are certain about what they are don't question.
Yeah.
They merely accept. Now, it's interesting. You keep getting these questions, these ones about questions, don't you? You read one the other day as well.
Yeah.
Question. Because that's he actually says at some point the ego is the questioning aspect of the post-separation self. It's quite an interesting idea. It's the questioning aspect. It's doubting. It's questioning. What am I? See, as soon as you deny what you are, now the question of who you are becomes questionable. You're not sure anymore. And all doubt and uncertainty comes from that denial of our true nature. Do you see that? That's why this world is so uncertain and unstable, because the belief that built it is not true. It's the belief that denied the truth and then questions. It says, well, what am I then? And I don't know what I am. So let me go and try and find what I am. And I'll try and find it in the world that I made from the belief that I am not who I am. It's insane. How can you find what you are in a world that was made out of the denial of what you are? See? As if you remember in the Matrix, the great line where Neo comes back into the Matrix, having been awakened, and he's driving to see the Oracle, and he's looking and he's saying, "Yeah, I used to eat noodles there," and then he says, "But I realized that none of these memories from my life ever happened." And then he asks Trinity, "What does that mean?" He's trying to figure it out. What does this all mean? She says, "It means that the Matrix cannot tell you who you are."
Yeah.
So the projection of the belief, the false belief, the projection of the doubting mind cannot tell you who you really are by definition, because it was made by the mind that doesn't know what it is. You can't look to the projection of uncertainty for certainty.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so summary done. And let's personalize it.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love has given my mind its awareness and keeps my mind wholly aware by its awareness, because its awareness is what my mind is. This is totally beyond question, and when I question it, I am answered. The answer merely undoes the question by establishing the fact that to question reality is to question meaninglessly. That is why the remembrance of perfect love never questions. Its sole function is to undo the questionable and so lead to certainty. The certain are perfectly calm because they are not in doubt. They do not raise questions because nothing questionable enters their minds. This holds them in perfect serenity because this is what they share, knowing what they are.
Okay. Can personalize any of that, certain or perfectly calm because they're not in doubt. So lead to my certainty, maybe. My remembrance of perfect love never questions. Its sole function is to undo the question and so lead to my certainty. Certain are perfectly calm because they are not in doubt. That's okay. They do not raise questions. Nothing questionable enters their minds. So how about when I am certain, I'm perfectly calm because I'm not in doubt. Not raise questions because nothing questionable enters my mind. Keeps me, I think, in them holes. What do you think? Keeps them in perfect serenity. Because this is what I share, knowing what I am. Okay, we'll read that from the top. Just make sure we're good with it.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love has given my mind its awareness and keeps my mind wholly aware by its awareness, because its awareness is what my mind is. This is totally beyond question, and when I question it, I am answered. The answer merely undoes the question by establishing the fact that to question reality is to question meaninglessly. That is why my remembrance of perfect love never questions. Its sole function is to undo the questionable, and so leads my certainty. When I am certain, I am perfectly calm because I am not in doubt. I do not raise questions because nothing questionable enters my mind. This keeps me in perfect serenity because this is what I share, knowing what I am.
Change that to awareness. Okay, so happy with that. I'm happy to read that.
Yeah.
So just closing your eyes, taking a nice deep breath in and out through the nose. Just watch the breath as John guides you through this, and say the words after him aloud, ideally, so mute yourself, to really affirm the truth of these. Okay, so take it away, John.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love has given my mind its awareness and keeps my mind wholly aware by its awareness, because its awareness is what my mind is. This is totally beyond question. And when I question it, I am answered. The answer merely undoes the question by establishing the fact that to question reality is to question meaninglessly. That is why my remembrance of perfect love never questions. Its sole function is to undo the questionable and so lead to my certainty. When I am certain, I am perfectly calm because I am not in doubt. I do not raise questions because nothing questionable enters my awareness. This keeps me in perfect serenity because this is what I share, knowing what I am.
And so it is. Okay, so that is the section done. Any final comments on this? Comments, questions? What are you saying?
Good section.
Yeah? Anyone like to summarize the whole thing? Is that asking too much?
Well, we've just got to completely trust in our pure formless awareness and have no doubts, no questions. There's no questions to be had. It's all there. But yeah, I'm sure you'll do a better job.
Well, that's pretty good.
But there's
He covers quite a lot in those 5 paragraphs, but he talks about competition here,
Yeah.
so that's quite a good idea.
That's the big role in our ego world, yeah.
And we should let go of the idea of competition. And when we do that, then we come into our right mind. We see truly. We see only brothers. That's a key thing. See only companions. Don't see the separation. And all questioning is then undone. We don't question when we know.
Yeah.
So
we'll know when we're at that is when we have no doubts and we're, yeah.
And there's peace.
Yeah.
When we're not in conflict anymore with others and with reality, and we have peace, then that's the arbiter. That's the indicator that we've actually got this.
Yeah, no matter
no
what.
matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big one. No matter
Even
what.
if someone's behaving egoically, you simply don't acknowledge that as reality. You don't see that as real. So it's not really a threat to you or your thought system because you've transcended it.
But does that
Easier said than done, but that's the work. That's the mantra.
Yeah, because there can be different varies of what will frighten you. Like, for example, if you saw something dead that you loved, then that's another one to challenge you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Whatever's testing you, remind yourself that there's only the truth is true. All illusions are false. So there is no question. But this is something we've got to accept. We do the mind training and he tells us over and over and over again in different words that only this true awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love is true, and nothing else is true, and that's beyond question. But when we question it, we are answered. We have this voice in us that answers us, that tells us, well, the truth is still true. It doesn't matter what your ego is made up. The truth remains untouched as it is.
Yeah.
And that's all we're studying. We're studying this fundamental truth. Keep reminding ourselves that this is true no matter what. And to apply that truth consistently in the dream world that the egos are made up is the art of letting go. That's what we're studying.
But we still have to function in the illusion, haven't we? And in that illusion is all these little, it's all mind-boggling. I'm really going through it. I'm doing lots of questioning and doubting, so I'm certainly nowhere near. So I've got a lot of work to do.
But you start the process of undoing the ego by questioning it.
Yeah.
So that's the start of awakening. Question it.
Yeah.
And eventually that questioning leads to doubting it, and the doubting leads to the undoing. Then you realize that it's not something I can believe in. I don't believe it anymore.
Right.
And then you can believe first, and then start to know that there's a deeper truth. See, so it's all part of the process. The absolute certainty comes at the end of the process. That's stage 6 in the development of trust. If you recall, we did that.
Yeah.
That's the achievement, the period of achievement, where you've achieved this certainty, and that can be the outcome of many years of spiritual practice and work to get to that state of mind. You have to first question and go through all those other stages of developing the trust, questioning, doubting, letting go of things, relinquishing things, feeling like you're losing out. All of that is part of the process of getting to the ultimate awareness, where there's no question anymore. You know, as Carl Jung said at the end of his life, I know. I don't believe in God, I know.
Yeah, it's a lovely
How
quote.
did he come to know? Because he practiced and taught it and studied it his whole life. So then he came to know through that process. 50 years earlier, he probably wouldn't have said, I know, because he hadn't done the work.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a work in progress, as you said.
It is.
Keep,
the journey. Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
Journey, keep working at it, be patient with yourself, and know that the knowledge and the certainty will develop as you go.
Yeah.
It becomes the more you practice like this, the more times you hear it, the more you meditate on it, the more live sessions you do, the more it goes in, and you start to become more and more certain. In my mind, there's no question. It's like this is a done deal. It's absolute. It's absolutely true. Yeah. Was I that way 17 years ago when I started this course? No, not a chance. Not at all. I was questioning. I was like, well, what is the deal? I don't really know. I'm still questioning.
Yeah. No, I'm going through that questioning stage. Yeah. So,
I don't know. It's taken many studying to convince my ego mind that actually it's not real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fascinating. Very happy to be on the journey.
Yeah, we're happy to have you with us. Okay, so anything else anyone want to ask or about this section? Good section. Yeah, some really good, some powerful ideas, world-changing ideas in here. Just the idea of competition and letting go of that is a game changer. You can do it. So I'll send this out a bit later, read it again for bed, and there's a meditation as well I'll send you. That'll guide you through it.
Do we have yesterday's meditation? I can't find it.
No, I don't think there was.
Oh, not yet.
There was one. Sorry, I didn't get to finish that.
Oh, that's fair enough.
So, but I've got some pre-recorded ones, so those are easy because they're already there. So
that's
to make a meditation out of this one, I'll see if I have time tonight.
Oh, no worries. You've got the summarize. That's good. Yeah, that's great.
We got the summary, and I've got a pre-recorded one recorded last year, I think, or the year before.
Oh,
so
that's fine.
I'll send that one out. Yeah. So you can read this and meditate on it again tonight if you want.
Great.
And practice the lesson again one more time in its long form. using. Well, there's a meditation I recorded this afternoon. It's on the group, or you could use the 10-minute one I posted this morning.
Great. That's
Okay,
great.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Good session, and hopefully see you tomorrow at the same time, 12:30.
Yeah. See you tomorrow.
Jono,
Okay.
thank you, everybody. Really enjoyed it.
Bye. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks to.
Bye.
Hope to see you again. Bye.